How many people in the room and on the call want to make more money than they did last year? Show of hands. How many people want to get promoted? All right, okay. So what I'm going to cover today is basically going to walk you through the process that made me successful from going from a customer service rep in a call center with an ACD, answering calls from angry customers, to where I'm at today. And at the end of the day, it's all about the money, right? We all come to work to make money. So next slide, Scott, the first slide here. So I start off with a warning because I do these presentations all the time, and there's about 20% of the folks in this room and on the call that what I'm going to say is going to go in one ear and out the other. You're probably going to maybe multitask from your PDA, tune me out. I'm never going to reach you. I'm not here to talk to you. I'm here to talk to the 80% of the people that want to advance their career and make more money. So I did a presentation. Next slide, Scott. I did this presentation for my sales team. We do a monthly recognition call. And I found out that obviously this person wasn't getting recognized. They weren't a very good performer. And this person was watching, they were streaming a video of a soap opera while I was doing my presentation. So, but if you're interested in what I have to say, I guarantee you this process, this blueprint, can help you advance your career. So Scott, go to the slide that has a picture of my daughter. This is my daughter. She's 7 years old. And my daughter, she's going on 21 years old. She's the most mature woman or young lady I've ever met in my entire life. And my brother went to MIT. He got a perfect math SAT score. And I think in my family, the mathematical genius and the brilliance goes to the firstborn child. So my daughter's first. I was blessed with a pretty smile, work ethic, and a warm personality. I didn't get the mathematical skills. But I do believe my daughter is blessed with that phenomenal, intelligent brilliance. Next slide, Scott. So this is the cover of my book. And when I was putting this together, my daughter asked me, she's like, "Daddy, in this picture, is the sun coming up or going down?" So just show of hands in the room. How many people think the sun's going up? Okay. Down? All right. And then she also asked me, she said, "Daddy, in this picture, are you the lion or are you the gazelle?" So let me ask, show of hands, how many people think they're the lion in this picture? This is your world. All right? Okay. Next slide. So in my world, and in corporate America, every day the sun is coming up. And what's cool about corporate America, every single day that you wake up, you get to choose who you're going to be that day. Either you're going to be the lion or the gazelle. And if you're the lion, what you're chasing is career progression, money, the ability to provide a better quality life for your family, and success. If you decide to be the gazelle, you wake up, you show up with a bad attitude, you don't really have a good day, you don't put the work in. What's chasing you is lack of success, the glass ceiling, career stagnation, and lack of having money. So I'm going to read this to you. This is how I approach life. The essence of survival. Every morning in Africa, gazelle wakes up. It knows it must outrun the fastest. It knows it must run faster than the fastest lion or it'll be killed. Every morning the lion wakes up. It knows it must outrun the slowest gazelle or it'll starve to death. It doesn't matter whether you're a lion or a gazelle. When the sun comes up, you better be running. And that's how I approach my life, and that's how I approach corporate America. Next slide, Scotty. What I'm going to cover today, first I want to tell you, why am I here? Why did Latoya ask me to speak to you? Why am I qualified to share this story with you? I'm going to spend a good few minutes on self-assessment. Because I think before you can plot a plan, you need to understand who you are, where you're going, what you want to do, how you want to get there. And then I'm going to spend some time on some key fundamentals that I think a lot of people don't do anymore. And then the bulk of the time is going to be spent on some strategies to advance your career in corporate America and the power of mentorship. If it wasn't for strong external, internal mentors, I wouldn't be here today. All right, next slide, Scott. And then we're going to go to the picture of my father. So this is my dad, 1969. Anyone know where Fort Benning, Georgia is? Okay, yeah, all right. Fort Benning is a really small southern town, but this is where the Green Berets in the Army are trained, and the Rangers. So this is my dad, 21 years old. My dad was raised poor. He was adopted, put himself through college. Right when he got out of college, he joined the military. This is right before Vietnam. He's going through Green Beret training. My dad did 3 tours in Vietnam as a Green Beret. He was an Army Ranger, and he was also in the 82nd Airborne. The 82nd Airborne, these are the guys that parachute out and into battle when they have battles in the military. So the reason I share this story is I always ask my dad, why did you want to be a Green Beret? Why did you want to be a Ranger? He said, if I told myself, if I'm going to be in the Army, I want to be a bad soldier. Because when you walk around the military and you got that Green Beret, and you got that Ranger patch, people respect you. So my dad always instilled with me, if you're going to do something, do it big. Don't just do it. Do it big. And one of the things I remember with my dad, which goes back to work ethics, I think work ethics is critically important to being successful, is my dad got his first command, and in the military, getting a command is like getting a VP position. It's like a corporate officer job. My dad got his first command in the 82nd Airborne, and his first month into his command, this is something he worked for his entire life. In a routine parachuting accident, he fell 50 feet from a tree and broke his back. So the military is just like sports. If you can't perform, they take away, you can't work. So they took his command away. I remember my dad was in the hospital, and the doctor was telling him, not only are you never going to jump out of planes again, but you'll be lucky to walk. And my dad taught me this theme, failure is not an option. Within 18 months, my dad not only got his command back, but he was the first African-American battalion commander in the 82nd Airborne to take troops into battle when they went in Panama and got Noriega. My dad led that mission. So this is kind of what's in my blood, and these are some of the things that I'm going to share with you about work ethic and having a plan to succeed in corporate America. All right, so Latoya talked a little bit about my background. I'm going to focus on two areas. Sprint is the only company that I've ever worked for since I graduated from college. I went to Morehouse College, a really small, anybody know Morehouse? All right, cool. Morehouse, shout out to anybody that went to Morehouse, by the way. So Morehouse is a really small school. My dad, at the time, I was going to high school in North Carolina. I was getting recruited by all the big ACC schools for football, but I just wanted to go to Morehouse. So I went to Morehouse. I had a football scholarship, and I knew if I didn't try to play professional football, when I got older, I'd regret it. Like right now, if I didn't play professional football, I'd be mad at myself. So when my parents, senior year, everybody's going to party at spring break. My parents sent me money to study for the LSAT because I was a political science major. I took that money, I hired a personal trainer, and I basically trained to play football. So Morehouse D2, really small. NFL is not coming to get players out of the Division II Morehouse. So my goal was, hey, I'll play in Canada for a year or two, and then I'll go to the NFL. So I made the Canadian football team, played for a year, but I was like, dude, you're not going to make your mark in the world playing football. You're not going to play in the NFL. I didn't want to chase a pipe dream, so I came back to Atlanta, and at the time, Sprint was hiring college students for customer service jobs. So I was like, well, I'll just work here for a year, work in customer service, make some money, get an apartment, live a single life for a year, study for the GMAT, and go to grad school. And I was like, you know what? I can make just as much money and have a great career in the telecommunications industry. So I started my career at Sprint in customer service. Just some personal things. I'm very fortunate. Guys, we always say we outkick our coverage, but I obviously outkick my coverage. I have a phenomenal wife, great family. Told you about my daughter. My son is Reggie, 2.1. He's 4 years old. And then I was, being a military vet. Anyone been a military vet, raised in the military? That is great training for corporate America and professional sales because every 3 years we were moving. So I was thrown in these environments where I had to make friends. So that's great training. And then if you want to work on your leadership skills, coach your kids. Anyone have young children? All right. I coach my kids' co-ed soccer team. You will learn patience and you will learn real leadership coaching young children. And then my kids and I were learning to play the piano together. So next slide, Scott. So why should you listen to me? Once again, I started my career in a call center, and I told myself, if I'm going to stay in corporate America, I want to be a C-level executive. I want to be a decision maker. So I kind of had to plot, and Sprint doesn't have a management rotation program. There's no real formal mentoring program. So I basically had to plot and plan my own career. So I started in customer service. I was in network operations. I was a technician in the old school I don't know what they call it today, but it was the private line service center. So I was the guy that was testing circuits. Then I moved into project management, and I knew right then and there the money, in my opinion, the money and the easiest way to move up was in the sales organization. Because at the end of the day, sales is about results. So before I got into sales, I was like, I really need to understand the technology because Sprint at the time was really heavy in the wireline side. So I wanted to learn how to be an engineer because the engineers that go into sales are the ones that are most successful. So I jumped into engineering, then I went into direct sales, was highly successful in direct sales, sales management. Now I'm a regional sales director. So I relocated from Atlanta to Dallas 3 years ago, so I'm in Dallas now. So that's my career background, but I'm going to cover some tactics that everybody in this room and on this call can implement to get from point A to point B. Next slide. Why did I create the blueprint? As I just told you before, there's been many times in every job, every career set that I had, there was always someone telling me, oh, you don't have any sales experience, you can't go into sales. You don't have any leadership experience, you can't be a manager. Or you can't be a director because you don't have any executive leadership experience. Or you can't be an engineer because you don't have any engineering experience. So I had to basically formulate my own pathway to get to be successful. So I don't want anyone to have to experience what I experienced to get from point A to point B. That's why I wrote this book, and that's why I'm here talking to you guys today. All right, next slide. What is the blueprint? And I'm just going to read this to you verbatim. I love this quote here. I'm big on quotes. I'm sure Mr. Phil Brown knows that. I love this one. It's an ancient Chinese proverb. Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. So what this book, what this blueprint is basically a combination of successful strategies and clever tactics if executed on a daily basis. If executed on a daily basis, will help you climb the corporate ladder. All right, next slide. So I'm going to spend a few minutes on kind of a self-assessment. Next slide, Scott. So it's the slide that says, who are you? And there's this gentleman here. Anyone know this guy here? Roy Jones? You might know Roy Jones. Roy Jones is a sales manager. You know Roy Jones. Yeah. Roy Jones is a sales manager in Dallas. He's been with the company for 27 years. He's been a sales manager at Sprint for 24 years. Anyone know how difficult it is to survive and be a successful sales manager at Sprint for 24 years? Through all the reorgs, layoffs, acquisitions we've gone through. One of the reasons why Roy has been very successful throughout his career is this guy, he preaches this all the time. What is your why? Does everybody in here right now know what their why is? What's your why? What the why is why you get up every day and come to work. What's motivating you to get out of bed every day? Why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you working at Sprint? Why? My why is if my daughter wants to go to Harvard, I want to pay for it cash. That's my why. That's what motivates me. So I want to challenge everybody in this room. What is your why? Why are you doing this? Also, what are your career goals? Do you know where you want to be 3 years from now? Where you want to be 5 years from now? What's your plan and your pathway to get there? How many people in here know how much money they want to make in 2013? Show of hands. All right? That's very, very important. I'm going to spend a minute and tell you why in a second. Also, what are your strengths? What are you good at? What are your developmental areas? What are your weaknesses? I know right now I've got 2 big weaknesses that I need to work on. I'm very impatient, right? And because I'm a natural salesperson, I don't listen very well. So when people are talking, a lot of times I'm already thinking about the answer. You know, sometimes I cut people off, so those are some things I need to work on. And then what are your principles? And, you know, in corporate America, what are some things you're not willing to do? What are you willing to do? What's your moral compass? What are you willing to compromise on? And then finally, what is your personal brand? All right? That's very, very, very important. Next slide. And I'm going to talk about the glass ceiling. And there is a glass ceiling in corporate America. Whether you see it or don't see it, it exists. Next slide, Scott. And there's 9 reasons why. These are the 9 negative behaviors that put a glass ceiling on someone's head in corporate America. I'm going to read these to you verbatim. Fear, status quo, set in your ways, can't adjust to change. And you work for Sprint and you can't adjust to change? Wait about 6 months from now when we go through the SoftBank integration. So you better be ready to change. Not willing to learn. How many times has this industry changed? You know, 10 years ago, this was a wireline company. Now we're a wireless company. Easily influenced by others, doubt, complacency, and poor work ethic. In my humble opinion, the 2 most important ones on this list are easily influenced by others and poor work ethic. When I say easily influenced by others, you allow other people to tell you what you can't do. Or you can't go into sales because you don't have any sales experience. Or you can't do this, or you can't do that. I think a lot of people, they believe that, and it causes doubt, it causes fear, and it causes all these negative behaviors. Next slide, Scott. And those negative behaviors transcend in these reasons why people get blocked, why people can't get promoted, why people can't move up. Fear of rejection. You're scared to put in for the job because you don't want someone to tell you no. Not willing to take chances. Fear of leaving your comfort zone. Lack of organization. You're the CEO of your own enterprise. You happen to work for Sprint. Sprint's the independent contractor that backs you. but you're the CEO of your own company. Every CEO that's successful is organized. Lack of visibility, people don't know who you are. Poor relationships. And then finally, you're going to hear me talk about this a lot, grunt work, not willing to put in the work. All right? Next slide. And I'm a big, firm believer in this, especially in being in sales, you have to be able to control what you can control. Because there's certain things in corporate America you just have no control over. But there are certain things that you can control, and that's those things that are going to help you break that glass ceiling. Next slide. These are the key factors of anyone that's able to rise up in corporate America. These are the behavior traits that they have. Adaptability, risk taker, persistence, hard work, organization, passion and energy. Especially passion and energy, that's really, really, really important if you're in a leadership position, because you have to channel that energy and excitement through other people. Positive attitude. This is a difficult company to work for right now. So you've got to have a positive attitude. You've got to be competitive. Relationship building is very, very important to advancing your career. And then constant knowledge development. I'm going to spend a minute on that. But the most important factor to advancing your career in corporate America, in my opinion, is having the it factor. And what the it factor is having persona, having the ability to get people to follow you, to get people to be interested in what you have to say. And there's ways you can do that. Through work ethic, through passion, through energy, through reading, knowledge development. But if you don't have the it factor, and you guys all know what that is, right? You can feel when somebody comes in the room. If you don't have that it factor, it's going to be hard for you to advance your career. Next slide. These are the things that you can control. And I go back to controlling what you can control. You can control your work ethic. How many hours are you going to put in? You know, we work for a work anywhere company. Are you willing to work on the weekends to catch up on email? Are you willing to work at night? Spirit and your energy, you can control that. Attitude. You can control your own attitude because your attitude impacts everything about you. Knowledge. You can control what you know. Are you an expert in your particular field? Right? Relationships, you can control those. Those take time. Those take work, just like developing relationships with your spouse and your kids. You got to put energy and time into that. And most importantly, you can control your personal brand. What people say about you when you're not in the room. Your perception. And personal brand and perception are tied together. Your appearance. And that's critically important. How do you look? Because people judge you by the 10 seconds eye test. And then finally, your performance. You can control these 10 things. All right, next slide. Okay, so anyone watch Super Bowl? Pretty cool commercials. There was some provocative commercials, especially the GoDaddy commercial. But it caught your attention, though, right? Yeah. So these are some cool ones. These weren't on the Super Bowl, but I like these. I like these commercials here, especially the Mayhem. This guy here that plays for Allstate. The Geico, and then the Aflac duck. Aflac is based out of Columbus, Georgia. Anybody ever been to Columbus, Georgia? My mom's from Columbus, Georgia. It's a very, very small city. No disrespect, sir. Not a lot going on in Columbus, but the Aflac duck has been one of the reasons why their brand is a world-known brand. So the reason I want you to hit that is because everybody in here, you need to know what your personal brand is. What are 5 adjectives that describe who you are, what image you want to project? So I want everyone to think about that. Write down what the 5 adjectives that describe your personal brand. And then here's what I want you to do. Take it to the next level. I want you to ask your spouse, ask your kids, ask your coworkers, pick a couple of coworkers, and then ask your boss. Don't tell them what you say your brand is. Ask them to give you 5 adjectives. And then see if what you think your brand is matches up with what people see you. You'll be surprised. All right? You have to know what your personal brand is, because if you have that in your head, you'll know what image you're portraying to people. So this is my brand. Next slide, I'm on the Who is Reggie Marable, Scott. This is my brand. And I came up with a acronym so I would never forget it, but it's PLACE, like I'm going big places. So passionate, leadership, ambitious, competitive, high energy. I'll never forget that because I have an acronym. So come up with an acronym, know what your brand is. That's critically important. And then obviously there's some extra credit. Phil Brown, you think I'm hardworking? Motivator? You with you on that? Okay. All right, next slide. So here's some quick fundamentals. I told you before I was big on quotes. I love this quote here. I must govern the clock, not be governed by it. The importance of time management. Time is your biggest asset. That is one of your controllable factors, right? And I think a lot of us don't do a good job managing our time, which limits your career if you can't manage your time. So I asked everybody earlier, how much money do you want to make? And the reason why I asked you that, I have a friend who's a corporate attorney. He's big on billable hours. You know, how much can I bill a client? You know, consultants, you know, how much can I bill a client? Every hour of the day for an attorney is worth money. And you've got to approach it the same way. Once again, you're the CEO of your own business. How much is every hour of the day worth to you? So how do you figure that out? Just say, hey, you want to make 6 figures, you want to make $100,000. There's 8 hours in a day, and I'll give you an hour for lunch. 40 hours in a week. You take, there's only 52 work weeks in an entire year, folks. You take 52 times 40, there's only 2,080 hours in an entire calendar year. So we've already lost several hours because we're in February. You take 2,080, you divide that by how much money you want to make, and that's how much every hour of the day is worth to you during prime time, and that's 8 to 5. So $48.77 is worth, that's how much, if you want to make 100 grand, every hour is worth. So ask yourself throughout the day, is this activity, is this going to help me advance my career? Is it going to help me do my job better? Is it going to help sprint? If the answer is no, don't do it during the day. Another thing here, so I don't think anybody in this room or on this call, show of hands, would anybody reach in your pocket and take $48.77 and throw it in the trash? No, right? No, if anyone is willing to do that, give me a call. I got some yard work around the house I need some help with. But I want you to get that, like your personal brand, and know how much every hour of your time is worth. Here's some best practices on tips to better manage your time. These are just some 4 keys. And as a salesperson, it's even more critical for me. Every hour of the day is critical. But I want you to ask yourself throughout the day, when you're doing something that's non-productive, how is this going to help me do my job better and advance my career? If the answer is no, don't do it during the day. Here are 5 easy tips. To this day, I keep a priority to-do list, and I number it 1 through 5, 1 through 10. Actually, now that I'm electronic, I've got an iPad, I'm all paperless. I use Microsoft OneNote. So, and it's rewarding to scratch stuff off my to-do list. But that to-do list keeps me relentlessly focused on getting, strategic big things that are going to move the needle. Put everything on your calendar. I think number 3 is really, really important, especially working for Sprint. Sprint is enthralled with email. I mean, we get so many emails, right? You cannot get yourself consumed in email because you'll get in and you'll spend 4 hours cleaning, going through your inbox, and the whole day's gone. You've got nothing done. So do not allow yourself to be consumed by email. And then, obviously, know when to delegate. And then number 5, most important, personal development. We're going to talk about that in a second. Next slide. Now, as we talk about, we're in the email age. In order to advance your career, you've got to have great business writing skills. And I don't know about you, but I cringe when I get these long emails. They're very difficult to read, and guess what? They probably get deleted. Unless they're from a direct report or a customer. It's very, very difficult for your emails to get people's attention if they're very long. Some best practices, always keep it 3 paragraphs or less, no more than 3 sentences per paragraph. Make it easy on the eyes. And when you're trying to get someone's on their calendar, always 1 to 2 weeks out and give them 3 days and times to choose from. But get out of the business of writing long soliloquy emails. It's not going to help you out long term. This is very important as you build relationships with our senior executives. Their executive assistant can make or break you getting that appointment or getting that meeting. If you befriend that executive assistant, they are a very, very, very powerful person. Probably one of the most powerful people in the C-level or the senior leaders organization is their administrative assistant. So make sure you take care of these folks because they can make or break you getting an appointment. Next up, how many people, just keeping it real, show of hands, use written thank you cards? Okay, a few. That's good. I think we've gotten away from that, but the written thank you cards are powerful. All right, so make sure you guys are using written thank you cards. If someone does something for you nice, you're trying to build a relationship, that'll help you get that relationship built and it'll help you advance your career. Okay, last thing I'm going to cover on some basic fundamentals, reading. How many people read on a daily basis? Just keeping it real, show of hands. I force myself, and I hate reading, but I force myself to read 30 minutes a day. And I read 3 articles out of the Wall Street Journal. Sprint Daily News is really, really important. FierceWireless.com. The reason why reading is important, and I always go back to the most interesting man in the world. You guys seen those Dose and Keys commercials? The most interesting man in the world can go anywhere in the world and be the toast of the town because he has things to talk about. When you read, you fill your mind up with your mental repository with many different topics to talk about. So the more you read, the more you can create that it factor. The more you know, the more powerful you are. So please make reading part of your daily repertoire. All right, now I'm going to spend some time on some strategies to advance, get promotions, get visibility. So I love this quote here from Sun Tzu. Anyone read this book, Sun Tzu, The Art of War? Every battle is won before it's fought. And I'm just going to share this with you, and it is what it is. That's why I have this slide entitled, It Is What It Is. I'm going to read this to you verbatim. The majority of all positions in corporate America are usually filled, or almost always filled, by the hiring manager before the job is posted for the general public to apply. So, if you don't have a relationship with the hiring manager you put in for a job that you see posted, it's highly unlikely you'll get that job. Because it's all about relationships. So if you don't remember anything that I said today, remember that. If you don't have a relationship with the person that's going to make a hiring decision and you put in for the job, you're probably not going to get the job. Okay, these are 5 reasons why people don't get promoted. And this is Sprint, this is any corporation. Number 1, I just talked about you don't have a relationship with the hiring manager. Number 2, people don't know who you are. People aren't aware of your talents. They're not aware of your skill sets. 3, you don't have a relationship or support from your direct manager. I'm going to give you some tips on how to get that relationship built. Your direct manager is a critical component to your success in corporate America. Mediocre performance, and obviously you don't seek feedback. You didn't get the job, because you're not going to get every job, but you didn't find out why you didn't get the job. What are you missing in your skill set? So the next opportunity that comes available, you can be more successful. Has this happened to anybody before? All right? There's been several jobs that I put in for I didn't get. But just through trial and error, these are the reasons why I didn't get the job. All right, next slide. Key reasons why people don't get promoted. People why people get promoted. Number 1, performance. Performance, you can't beat performance. It is what it is. It's black and white. If you perform, you have a higher likely to get promoted. You've got to perform. That's your ticket into the game. Strong relationship with your direct manager. Your manager is your advocate, your supporter. Because every person that I've ever hired, I call the person's manager if they work for Sprint to find out what's the work ethic. Is this a positive person? Is this somebody I want in my organization? If the manager says something negative, do you think I'm going to hire them? Probably not, right? People already see you in the job. That's critically important. So when I was a project manager and I knew I wanted to get into sales, I went and I was trying to get an engineering role, but Sprint hires people with engineering degrees or lots of engineering experience. Here I am, 4 years out of college with no engineering experience. I was a political science major. I went in my spare time and got 4 engineering certifications, job shadowed the engineers, so the manager already saw me in that job. So when the job became available, it was an easy decision for him. So people have to see you in that job. Lastly, people know who you are in the organization, and then you have internal sponsorship. You've got people that have your back. They're going to vouch for you at senior levels. Next slide. Ways to land the next promotion. This is the most important one. Make your intentions known. Let's say, for example, you're in customer service and you want to get into marketing. You have to tell people, I want to get into marketing. You have to go find out who makes the hiring decision in the marketing department. Get on their calendar. Tell them, here are my skill sets. What are you looking for in this marketing position? What am I missing? Can you help me develop an action plan so when you have an opportunity, I'm your candidate? Is there somebody I can job shadow in your organization? Also, the department you want to join, meet with the person, the senior level executive that runs that organization. Make sure they know who you are. They have a relationship with you. If you do those little things, those are some things that will differentiate you from the competition. All right? Okay, ways to gain exposure. And these are pretty basic. You got to volunteer. You got to make your intentions known. But you have to be a performer, and you have to be a subject matter expert. You've got to be that go-to person. We all know who they are in your department. The person everybody goes to ask questions. The person that's always taken a leadership role. Those are ways to gain visibility and exposure. But most importantly, make your intentions known. Okay, so if you have a challenging relationship with your hiring manager, or maybe not a relationship at all, or not a good relationship, here's some tips to build that relationship. Make sure, some managers don't do consistent formal one-on-ones. Make sure you do a formal one-on-one with your manager every month and tell them what you're doing, what you're working on, what are some things I need to work on to improve. Make sure your manager knows what you're doing. All right? Make sure you do that. Make them look good. Be responsive. If they send you something, jump all over it. Make sure that they know that they can trust you, that you're a go-to person for them. And ask them, hey, I want to move up. This is what I want to do next. Do I have your support? If not, how do I get your support? If you get that relationship built with your manager, they will vouch for you and they will help you get promoted. Last thing I'm going to cover is mentorship. I love Tony Dungy's. I've read several of his books. And this guy is huge on mentorship. I love this quote here. Japanese proverb, better than 1,000 days of diligent study is one day with a great teacher. Mentorship will help you advance your career. It'll help you learn. It'll help you get that internal sponsorship. These are some people that I mentor with on a consistent basis now, to this day. And I've had a lot of these mentor relationships for a long, long time. And if you look through here, these are some pretty seasoned senior people at Sprint. It's an informal, once a quarter, 30-minute conversation, right? But if I ever need some help, sorry, Jerry, you should be on the list, Jerry Owens. And I report to Nancy Salisbury. I mean, I've reported to her for almost 2 years now, and she's kind of like my life coach. I mean, she's been really very instrumental in my career, but we have a great relationship. And the reason why I got, well, not the only reason, but Carolyn Reeling was the VP of sales when I was a manager. And obviously, I had the #1 sales team in the entire country. That obviously helped. But because I had a relationship with her, she already saw me as a director. So it helped me get promoted. So relationships internally and externally are critically important. So if you know where you want to go, you need to get some mentors in that organization to help you advance your career. All right, just two things I'm going to hit on. There's 3 types of mentors. There's external to your company. Those are important because they'll give you confidential feedback. There's internal to your company, and then there's sponsors. So mentors and sponsors are different. A sponsor can help you get promoted. A mentor can as well. This is why you should make that investment. The biggest thing is mentors. You can learn from them. They're at a place where you're trying to get to. They can help you avoid pitfalls, mistakes, traps, candid advice, feedback, real feedback because they care about you. Mentors keep it real with you. They'll tell you what things you need to work on. They'll challenge you. Mentors are very, very powerful relationships. And lastly, I see a lot of people make the mistake by getting a peer as a mentor. Your peer is not your mentor. All right? You need to get a mentor that's in a senior level position, like a decision maker, a shot caller, someone that can help you, someone that you can learn from. Not to say you can't learn from your peers, but a mentor needs to be someone that's in a place you're trying to get to. So your peer is not your mentor. So this is a simple, and this is obviously in the book, which is available in hardback, paperback, and ebook. But this is one I sent to Matt Carter about 18 months ago. Simple email, once again, 3 paragraphs, lots of bullets, short and concise. That email helped me get an appointment with Matt. I consider Matt Carter a mentor. This is a guy I met. He's a senior level guy at Food Line. I met him at a networking event. And this is the template that I use to get that relationship. And I will also tell you, most of these people that are in senior level positions, they have their own mentors. They're open to mentoring people. So they will give you their time if you ask for it. But a lot of people just don't ask. So make sure you guys do that. All right, last thing I want to cover is just make sure, I talked about controlling what you can control. Make sure you control your attitude. If you work for Sprint, the next 6 months are going to be rough. A lot of change, a lot of stuff's going to be going on, but you got to control your positive attitude. So what I do, and I had that picture of my father, and I have failure is not an option, and I put that in front of me. So I see it every day. And a lot of times, I think a lot of us, we get stuck in negativity. I do it all the time. Like every morning I wake up, if I'm feeling bad, I say, you know what, Reggie? Tell me 5 good things that you have going on for you in your life, professionally and personally. And as you start to list those things, you're like, damn, I got this, and you forget about the negativity. 2 other things, stay away from negative people. Drama queens, drama kings, stay away from them. They want you to be part of their misery. Stay away from that. And another thing, too, get a peer that's successful, and when you have a bad day, call them up and say, hey, man, give me a pep talk. Having a tough day. Love this quote here. Instead of giving myself reasons why I can't, I'll give myself reasons why I can. Once again, this is one of the things you can control. You can control your energy, your attitude. So these are some tips to make sure you don't fall into a negative trap. So lastly, we all have challenges. You work for Sprint, but at the end of the day, nobody cares. All right? I love this quote here. Never tell your problems to anyone. 20% don't care. The other 80% are glad you have them. All right? Here's another quote here. Yeah. If you think nobody cares if you're alive, try missing a couple of car payments. Lastly, do you think the bank that financed your house cares that Sprint doesn't have LTE deployed throughout the country? Do you think the college, anyone have kids in college? Do you think the college that wants that tuition check on the first of the month care about SDC migration?
Yes.
David DeVille cares about it. The private school, that anybody have kids in private school, do you think they care that we don't have a 7-inch tablet in our portfolio? Nobody cares, right? The only person that cares is you. So the biggest thing I want you to take away from is make sure you can control what you can control, and that's your energy, your passion, your attitude. And that's all I have to cover today, and I love it. I'll end with this quote here. Winners find ways to win despite circumstance. If I didn't believe that, who knows where I would be with my career right now. But because I believe that winners find ways to win, that's why I have the opportunity to talk to you guys today. And that's it.